What's up, guys? Hey, how we doing? So this video, I really went down the rabbit hole. I know Arena Cross was last night, and I will do an Arena Cross video wrapping up both nights. There was some good racing, but this video has nothing to do with motocross or racing. This has to do with the Tesla attack at the Trump Towers, and I've got some... I went down the Shawn Ryan rabbit hole. If you haven't watched the Shawn Ryan podcast, I strongly recommend it. These are a bunch of military experts who have retired.
We've been doing here on the show with Scott Mann, retired Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret, Sarah Adams, former agency targeter. We brought on Legend, who's an Army intelligence guy who goes by Legend because he doesn't want to reveal his name because he still is very involved. And we even went all the way to Vienna to interview Commander Massoud,
who have gone into their business for themselves, and they're reporting information the government won't tell us. And I do appreciate that the Shawn Ryan podcast, because the number one most important thing is to get the message out. They allow other podcasters and YouTubers to use clips from their show, which I will put into this video, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I'll give you the sources of where I got it and the backgrounds on the people who said this specific stuff. Real quick shout out to my sponsors, Nano-Extreme. If you have any pain, I'm telling you, this stuff is amazing. Hit up Nano-Extreme, use code Cooksey for free shipping. If you want some really good shows about vet racing, amateur racing, head over to the Coach Rob Podcast Network, and he's got a lot of different shows. He's got things with physical fitness, like I said, vet racing, amateur racing. Check out the Coach Rob Podcast Network. Ride Strapped, a truly patriotic company. Check out ridestrapped.com. Get your goggles, glasses, and shirts. And if you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. It's pretransport.com, a family-owned shipping company. I appreciate them, and they've supported me a lot. Now let's get into this show. It's a very serious one, and I honestly wish I didn't have to do something like this, but I feel like it's my civic duty to share information. I don't have a big platform, but I've got a few viewers, and if that's what everyone who has a few viewers does, we can get the truth out there, and we need to take action. Get with our local legislation and let them know we need to fix this instantly. I know we've got Trump coming in on the 20th, but it's going to take everybody to right this situation, because I didn't realize how bad things have gotten and how in danger we actually are.
You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So when I tell you about the Tesla explosion, keep in mind, I've only got the same information you guys have from podcasts and news and the local press briefings. Don't have any inside information. I am just sharing what I know in a consolidated format to kind of catch some people up to speed with what's out there and what they've confirmed and what they haven't confirmed. And I'm also going to interject my opinion as to why this has happened. So the guy who blew himself up, I think that it's him inside the car, in front of the Trump Towers in a Tesla. I truly do not believe he was trying to hurt anyone. He was a part of some war crimes in 2019, killing children and women in Afghanistan. And he's seen this stuff from the inside.
You want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or on to the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operations Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with, redacted, IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Shawn's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
He needed to bring attention to it. Say whatever you want about his mental state or whether this was right or wrong. I don't think it's ever right to blow up a car in front of the Trump Towers. But he didn't hurt anyone. I think he intentionally meant to. This is a guy who has the knowledge. If he really wanted to get an explosive device that could take down the Trump Towers, this guy had the skill to do that. I don't think that was his intention. I think his intention was to draw attention to the atrocities that he actually contributed in. And I think that's why he probably ended his own life, because he felt horrible. How do you live with ending people's lives, children's lives, mothers' lives, when you have children of your own? And you can say whatever you want about it not being his biological kid. Biological versus not biological, it doesn't matter. If you raise a child, they're your child and you love them the same. And that's, my son is not my biological son. He is my son 100%. I would do anything for him, same as I would do for my biological daughter. So I don't want to hear this crap about it wasn't his biological son and that's why he was upset. I genuinely think he really is just distraught about what happened and what he saw coming down the pipeline. What is terrifying is that our war crimes and the way we left Afghanistan has united these terrorist groups, 21 different terrorist groups.
You are 100% certain that there are 1,000 plus Al-Qaeda trained fighters within the United States borders?
Well, Al-Qaeda says they trained and deployed 1,000 for this attack. First off, I think there's more than 1,000 Al-Qaeda members in the United States.
These Islamic terrorist groups, these extremist groups, they're not individual anymore. They are working together.
Because they want to keep their safe havens intact, and they don't actually care if you know it was Al-Qaeda. They just want to take it to us, right?
Oh, shit.
It does not matter if it's ISIS, if it's HTS, if it's Hamas. They're all one, right? They're all an Islamic army. And nobody's taking this Islamic army concept seriously, but Hamza views all the terrorist groups in the world now under his Islamic army, and that's the way he views them. And he's almost like Iranian Quds Force, where he's like, okay, this is my proxy here, this is my proxy here, this is my proxy here. Like he's planning an attack in Lebanon against some sort of U.S. interests, right? It's an Al-Qaeda Hezbollah plot. But when it occurs, only Hezbollah is going to take responsibility. You won't even know Al-Qaeda is involved in it.
And when we did the worst thing we ever could have done and just yanked everybody out of Afghanistan, we left all sorts of training and weapons and stuff that these organizations have never had access to before. We essentially gave that to them. We gave them the tools to destroy us.
You've got every NATO base that we built over there. Camp Brown, you've got Bagram, you've got Bastion, all of the infrastructure, all of that was just left behind. So they've rolled right in on these bases with well-designed training areas and ranges, and they are training at a level that's unprecedented.
They are using the NATO bases to train their soldiers. They are trained far better than they ever have been in the past. Combine their newfound skills and training with the money. We left money, and we've also been sending money to them. Yes.
9/11 was a $500,000 budget.
Yep.
Now the government has come out and publicly said that they have accidentally given them $239 million. We know it's more than that.
Yeah, that's a conservative estimate.
So apparently we sent money over to Afghanistan like we do anytime we have a war with somebody. We send them reparations to help them repair. So apparently they have been taking this money, and $239 million of it has ended up in terrorist organizations to fund our demise. Our U.S. government has been warned about this for over a year, and they continue sending money to fund our demise. Seriously, how on earth does Sarah Adams...
So when you have people like Sarah Adams, her network in that country is amazing. And the people that she's talking to are normally the people who'd be talking to three-letter agencies. But guess what? They don't trust those three-letter agencies at all. And those three-letter agencies and our administration clearly is not interested. I mean, we asked Masood, are you talking to any? Nope. And so, as weird as it is, and as strange as it is, and it's like the Twilight Zone. I believe the GWAT generation, specific veterans and intelligence pros in that generation, have more high-fidelity information about what's coming to the homeland than our own government.
She has contacts all throughout the area, and she knows what's going on the ground. And if she's warning them that we are funding terrorist organizations with the money that we're sending over, I would think immediately we would cut that off and figure out a different way. I'm not against helping, rebuild or do things that we need to do in a humanitarian level. But if that money is being used in the way that it is being used, it should not be allowed.
You broke that news first. You broke $40 million a week was going to the Taliban, funded from State Department to all these different NGOs. Then our mutual friend Legend came on. He broke that it was actually $40 to $87 million a week. Then, we're also, Scott Mann has confirmed it, former Green Beret Lieutenant Colonel, retired. Then me and Scott went to Vienna to interview Masood, who is for everybody that hasn't seen that's the leader of the commander of the Afghan resistance. And he confirmed it as well. And so we've actually put a petition out. I just looked at it this morning, as 382,000 signatures. I'm going to link the petition below again to spin that out again. And we sent that to McCall. Nothing. From what I understand, not one thing has been done. Why do you think Congressman McCall hasn't done it? It's because, I see these reports he was drunk at the airport. Maybe he's just too drunk to actually do anything. Or maybe he's too busy. As the other story I hear about him all the time is the insider trading shit. Has he done anything? Anything at all?
No, the problem is, it's kind of like they bring these people in front of Congress, they give them 5-minute sound clips, right? They make a little bit of news off it, but there's no then action, or there's no plan to do any accountability. And then they say, yeah, Americans, we did what you wanted. We brought Tyler Andrew Vargas on, right? But what has he done for him since it happened, right? And this is the big problem with Congress. People say, these Congress people aren't doing their jobs, but they keep voting them back in, right? Like, we complain about them, but no one's actually holding their feet to the fire to do their job. I honestly don't think we're going to get anything effective against the Taliban, right? I mean, your congressman, Representative Burchett, he put the money in to stop the bill to stop the money going to the Taliban. It's sitting in the Senate. I don't think anyone's picked it up. Nancy Mace tried to do the bill to actually designate the Taliban a terrorist organization. I heard a number of Republican Congress people reach out to her and gave her a hard time about it. So that's completely dead. We can't even get our Congress people to call them a terrorist group, and they're beheading people.
You combine all this with the open borders that we have had, and our border czar, who did nothing for the last 4 years and has allowed crazy amounts of undocumented immigrants and over 1,000 known, trained Islamic terrorists to enter our country.
That's Taliban.
I mean, I'm going to overlay that video for the audience to see just how sharp these guys are getting. I mean, that's really good.
Well, remember,
when I saw that, it scared the shit out of me.
Remember, their life is they train all the time.
Why would you come from all across the world through the southern border of this country? I think the chances are that there's some bad intentions there for some of these people.
I don't know if you saw, but Scott Mann and I went and met with Governor DeSantis and briefed this to him, and he said, I've received no threat reporting at all on terrorism from the federal government. So they're not passing anything down to these levels. So anyone who's like, yeah, this is all happening behind the scenes, don't worry, everyone's prepared, our law enforcement knows. Most of the country have never heard Al-Qaeda's planning an attack here.
We are in serious danger, serious danger. There's over 1,000. And, what we saw on New Year's was, I truly believe the Tesla car bombing was this gentleman in his ill-fated way trying to warn us about what's going on. He reached out to all the media outlets and tried to get on there to talk before he did this. And I wish somebody would have got a hold of him and got a true, clear idea of what he wanted to get out of this and what he was doing. But I think he really just wanted to bring attention. I don't think he wanted to hurt anyone. That's why he used the Tesla truck, which he knew wouldn't blow things up. That's why he used a bomb that created more of a show than it did damage. He's the only one that was killed. We have Iranian surface-to-air missiles that have come across this border. I'm not sure if they've been accounted for or not. They were very unclear on that, whether they've caught these or not.
So we now have Iranian missiles. Who knows how many inside the United States?
That is not something you're going to see in a lot of places. Like I said, I didn't even want to talk about it. It was one of those things where I was just amplifying what he was putting out already, because I was like, man, I don't know about putting this out. But it was something we found was pertinent, because at the time, Trump was still campaigning. He was flying around, and there was the reports were their intent was to take down Trump's airplane. So at the time, Secret Service switched things up a bit, and allegedly, from what I've told, they started flying him around on charters for a while.
There are Iranian surface-to-air missiles that entered our country through a border. I would hope they have them, and they're just not telling us, and they got it. I would hope that we're all safe.
That was the reporting stream that was coming out at the time. Feds handled it. Off my plate.
But what scares me is it took an organization outside of the government to alert the government that they were there and that they needed to go get them. Now, if it took an outside organization, they're the ones that found it. How many got through that we didn't know about? And of these 1,000+ trained killers that are in the United States, these terrorists, they also have developed what they're calling invisible bombs. Bombs that are not detected by metal detectors or dogs or any of that type of stuff. They can get them into stadiums, churches, schools, undetected.
Like TSA completely ignored putting out the actual piece of the video that mattered. And so the big piece of the video was teaching terrorists how to make a bomb that goes through a magnetometer. So, you know, like most airports in the world, you don't have that weird hand scan thing. You just go through a random metal detector. So this bomb basically goes through the metal detector, okay? So they were showing it off then. Well, now Al-Qaeda's advanced and it's in a suicide vest. But the interesting part is it doesn't just go supposedly through the metal detector. They made it with components dogs aren't trained on to sniff.
And these terrorist soldiers are trained to fight to the death. That doesn't mean necessarily suicide, but what that means is they will fight until they kill everybody they came to kill or they get killed. There is no surrender. That is a tactic that they use. So if something does happen and somebody says, oh, come out, and they get you to surrender, they're just going to kill you. Don't surrender. Fight them.
Everyone starts moving in, the first responders move in, right? And then another guy walks in and blows up. We know this is a tactic, right? But if Americans don't understand this as a tactic and don't understand these attackers are going to fight to the death, think about that. So the battle's going on, the attacker surrenders, right? He might have the suicide vest. We let our guard down. That man came to die, right? He's going to fight till he dies or you dies. So we can't let our guards down. And they know our weakness, right? So we have to be very careful that we don't have more people die in these second and third order effects of not knowing their intent.
If you corner them and they try to surrender, just know they are not surrendering. They are tricking you. They might have a bomb or something else, and they're coming to. It is a tactic that they have trained. So just be aware of that. Hopefully it never ever comes to that. I really pray that that doesn't happen, but just know that. Know there is no surrender in these people, and their plan is not to go after military bases. They want to go after places where they can get the most casualties. They don't even care. They're not here to. They want to do as much damage. They are going to hit us in the softest possible areas, anywhere where they don't think people are armed, anywhere where people are susceptible. They are not going to go after anywhere where they won't get as much damage and will turn into an actual battle. They want to slaughter. And that is what is so scary about this situation, that over 1,000 of these people who want to slaughter us are here and trained to do exactly that.
I feel like bridges or any kind of public transportation always matters because it puts costs against us and it causes fear. But here's where it gets complicated. So remember, the terrorists might have their goal is they're going to attack the metro in DC, right? But remember, some of these terrorists are going to be ISIS. And remember, they can change location. So the ISIS guy might go down the metro and say, there's not many people down here. I'll kill 20, but there's a event going on. I'm going to go up there, right? And because ISIS is a little different. ISIS just wants mass casualty.
And just to give you an idea of the ineptitude of our government, so a lot of this stuff is being from bin Laden's son.
Since I was on the last time, the Western press finally broke he's alive. The interesting part is the U.S. still won't print it. The U.S. press won't. But what happened is, interestingly, British Intel leaked it to their press.
Really?
Yeah. And from what I'm hearing, they did it because they were upset so apparently the CIA has been trying to curb the U.S. intelligence community and even trying to curb the Brits, saying Hamza's not alive, don't talk about Hamza. And basically the Brits are like, screw you. And they put it out in the press. The funny part is the U.S. press still didn't pick it up. So the U.S. press still went to the CIA and CIA is like, don't print it. So it went, all over the world. It was all over in India, all over in Africa, and it didn't print here.
Hold on.
Hamza bin Laden, it was reported that he was killed. He was not. The only country who is admitting or still sticking to the narrative that he's dead is the United States. Everywhere else they're reporting he survived, and he is behind a lot of this damage and the attacks on humanity.
Yeah, and they're 10x bigger, probably close to 80,000 fighters. I think they had something like a couple thousand before 9/11. I'll have to check those numbers.
And I didn't do this video to scare anyone, but I want to let people know, I saw this and I'm just like, wow, where are we at right now? And I don't know exactly what to do. What they said is write your congressman, write your senators, let them know, cut off the funding. And those are the things that I think we can do. But as far as that goes, I don't know. I guess I would say be aware of your surroundings. If you see something, speak up. If you see something, reach out to your local law enforcement agencies and whoever funds them and let them know we need them. We need to get them this type of training to deal with this type of attack, because they're here and it very well could happen. I pray it doesn't, but from what I'm seeing, and if these people, and I trust these people, these are retired military officials who have access to information, more information now than the actual government, because these people, the sources throughout Afghanistan and these other places, do not trust our government, but they trust these people who have worked with them and protected them. These were the only people who helped them when our government abandoned them. Tim Kennedy had a foundation where they were rescuing these people, the translators, and all these people who are helping us in Afghanistan. They have sources who are telling them accurate information, and unfortunately, I believe them. And as far as the funding goes, $239 million to fund these people. Let me just give you an example. It was the budget for 9/11. The budget for those terrorists at that time was $500,000. They now have, at a minimum, $239 million. That's not counting everything we left them in Afghanistan to work with. This is scary, and it is a big problem. And we need to secure this border immediately and work on this. And I support whatever we need to do to protect our families, our people, and our country. But I have a feeling it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's why I did this video, because it bothers me. It really does bother me. And if something like this does end up happening, and I knew about this information from my own personal research and I didn't share, I wouldn't feel like I'm doing my duty. I'm not trying to create a panic. I just want people to be aware of what's happening, and we all have to get involved and put pressure on our government to step up and fix this. I don't know exactly how to fix it, but it starts with training our law enforcement properly. Let's let them know. New Orleans, they actually asked for budgets and how to handle an attack like they had on New Year's. They were denied. They were denied funding to improve their tactics and how to prevent something like this. And look what happened. Now, I don't think that gentleman in New Orleans, but I don't know. I don't think he was a part of what I'm talking about with the soldiers coming from Afghanistan and these camps where they have trained them specifically in ways to destroy as much human life as they can. I don't think he was a part of that. I don't know what his deal was. Maybe he was being helped by some of them. I don't know. But think about this. If they had given the extra training to law enforcement in New Orleans, could it have been stopped? I don't know. But let's not cut short on that. Let's stop funding. There's $239 million that went to Afghanistan, but we couldn't fund protection in New Orleans. What? We have got to fix these types of issues or we are in big trouble, people. So that's why I did this video. A lot of you guys get really mad when I don't do moto stuff. I'm sorry. I just feel obligated to do this. It struck me. It bothered me. I had a hard time sleeping last night. I've been watching different stuff and researching as much as I can, and I want to do whatever I can to help protect what we have and our people. So thanks, guys, and just be safe out there. Watch your loved ones and be careful. Don't let the terror win. I would say keep doing what we're doing. You never want to let them win by just going in house and bunkers. And if you do that, they already win. But at the same time, be smart. Look around. Watch your surroundings. If you see anything, if we all are on alert, they can't get there. If we all watch for suspect things, we can control this. I truly believe that. I really do. So that's why I'm speaking about this. We have Supercross coming up. There will be a lot of people in these stadiums. That is a potential target. I don't want to see that. I don't want to even think of that. But just beware, guys. Just beware. That's it, guys. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with an arena cross video. I don't know if I'll make any more videos on this topic. I hope I don't have to. I hope nothing happens and we can just move forward and be the American citizens that we are. But if something comes up that I feel like I need to talk about, I will. Thanks, guys. Later.
Mom said, sell it to Felt Circus. He's a damn geek. Dad said, nope, this one's a B-Baby freak. If there's one thing lower than a felt sideshow geek, it's a money-hungry, backstabbing P. Davy freak.